Welcome to Kristen Clark Unmasked. And with me today is Isabelle Zimmerman. And I came across Isabelle from a recommendation of the previous podcast, which was Roxanne Swinehart. And I loved when I reached out to Isabelle, I got an instant yes. There was no wibble wobble. There was no, well, call my secretary and this personal schedule. There was none of that. It was just, yes, let's do this. And that's exactly what I look for every single time. I get that from, Roxanne. I love that about Roxanne. When I met Roxanne many years ago, I didn't know who this person was. I was just so intrigued by her ability to channel so beautifully. And I just thought, oh, I'll just send this person a message. She probably won't get back to me. And I hadn't even barely hit the period on the sentence and hit send, and immediately back. Oh yeah, honey, let's chat. And we
I love Roxanne.
I know. And over the years, like, I won't talk to her for years and years. And all I have to do is one little message on Messenger saying, hey, are you there? Oh yeah. I swear that woman never ever sleeps or anything. She's always immediately, hi. And yeah. I love that. And I loved that about you. I loved that there was no like, who is this person? Whatever, you were just instant. And this is so anyway, I'm going to stop talking because I want you to introduce yourself, just who you are today, not who you've been or anything like that. Just who are you today and whatever feels awesome to flow through you.
So today I would say I'm a Sciency psychic. I channel and I teach the Ascension teachings, and I help facilitate, or I am the Julie McCoy of Earth, to help facilitate your connection with your inner being. So yes, I channel. Yes, I created an online psychic course. Yes, I'm creating another intensive integration course with the Ascension teachings, because you can have a head full of knowledge, but if you don't feel it, it's not real. And yes, I'm awake, just like you. So when you reached out to me, I knew right away from the non-physical team, yes. And also Roxanne and I, we've worked, and so have you, we've worked so hard freeing ourselves of limiting beliefs, right? That because our fears confine us, and our beliefs is a vibration and frequency. So I am a Sciency psychic, meaning I studied quantum physics for 6 years. I like to study the quantum field with David Tong. So when I get the metaphysical or my non-physical peeps, like I like to call them, when my non-physical team teaches me and mentor me a concept, I will often go to science to understand it. Or science will come up with something and I will go to the non-physical team to understand what science is trying to do. And so, yes, I have access to infinite intelligence, but of course it's my vibration. So I always have a gap of understanding, but that's the fun of the game.
Well, I knew I loved you. I have a thing for the quantum. I can get so deep into there and get so lost and have so much fun. So I love that you do that. So, what's something kind of new recently that you've been playing with, or even just this morning or anything?
Yeah. So Pam Gregory, a friend of mine, sent Pam Gregory's astrology, and she's this beautiful lady in England. And she talks about the astrological signs. Now, I know as a scientist, the electromagnetic fields, of course, would have an influence on our fields because we are just energy. So energy amongst energy, yeah, it influences us, right? So as much as I look into astrology, it's not my passion. I'm curious. I listen to it, but I'm not the type of person who maps out her chart or that kind of thing, right? Because I'm exploring different things. But one of the things was, and I went on nasa.gov, there's this new asteroid that has 2 rings around her. And I can't say her name, and I'm going to look it up for you guys because I only heard it once in my life from Pam Gregory. This asteroid was discovered in 1997 in Phoenix, Arizona, by the university. And her name, hold on, I'm still searching. Hold on. It's coming up, I'm sure. Okay. And I can send you the links if you want to do the research. And I did connect with this entity, and she's so cool. All right. All right. So her name, so she was a mermaid that became a centaur. And this is, I think it's Sharklio. I'm going to spell it CHARIKLO. And I was inspired. So I watch Pam Gregory's thing because when it comes into my physical reality, I always treat it like a Scooby-Doo mystery. So I click on things. I don't give it much thought. If it comes to me, it's for me. And so I clicked on it. I listened to Pam's thing with the new moon because I was like having ascension symptoms. I was like really nauseous and dizzy before the 27th. And then I heard the Sharklio, and I went, oh, that's curious. And so I researched her, and I find out she's an asteroid, not even a planet, and she's new in our system. And I went, oh, that's curious. So I continued to research her. And then at the bottom, it says follower of Athena. Well, I have a lot of goddess Athena aspects in me. So Athena is my main guide in Isis. And when I saw Athena, I started to laugh. So then I meditated and I connected with Sharklio. I connected with her. I saw her little face. When spirit shows me them, it is like an old photograph, like the negatives, like when you used to get the film developed, you would see the negative image. That's how I always see them. Scientifically, I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're in the antimatter. And that's why it's a negative image. Anyways, I haven't explored that too deeply, but whatever. That's my thought. So I see the negative image. I see her little face flash. Then I research her story, and there's a picture of her swimming in the water, and it was her face. And I was just like, this is too funny. So her story was, she was a nymph, a mermaid, and she was very much into nature, very happy. And then one day, this centaur, half horse, half man, saw her, and he noticed her. And typically, no one notices her. So they would like, she would swim in the water and he would run along the shore, and they fell in love, a mermaid and a centaur. And because she loved him so much, she transformed from a mermaid to a centaur.
Oh,
and she was surprised that her love created a new form so she could be with him. And then he ended up dying a long life, like 800, 900 years or something like that. And he became the star constellation, and she came back to being a mermaid. And so when she looks up, she sees him.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah, so I'll send you the pictures, the link, and whoever watches this can like play along with us. So so I read her story. I heard she's a follower of Athena, and I started to laugh. And then I connected with her, and she says, hello, my daughter of Athena. And I went, daughter of Athena. Interesting. I didn't, like, okay, it's cool. So I said hello because I know Athena is my main guide. So I said hello, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a daughter of Athena. And so we were talking, and she said, these new energies have never, ever been seen on Earth before. And she is bringing new magic and abilities for all of humanity. And then, so I'm in the Northeast and it's really cold. So I took my scarf and I just put it over my face by inspiration. And energetically, I saw geometric patterns of energy. And she was literally downloading me energy. I don't know what those patterns will do, but I knew she was activating me. And then I said, thank you. And then she said, daughter Bethina, she really wanted me to understand that humans will experience different abilities that they've never had on Earth. And I said, okay. And I said, I've heard about the DNA activation and angelic abilities and transformation and light bodies. I said, okay. And she said, even more so. And I went, ooh. I said, okay, because I'm very into magic. So I said, okay. And she said, during this year, it's very important for you to stand in your heart, to really be in the love frequency. And then she explained to me, she was personally surprised that the love, the desire, because like she was like, it's sort of like you can't be attached to the outcome. She didn't need to be with him, but she loved him without being attached that she couldn't have him.
Yeah.
Because she loved him so much, she was surprised that that love literally changed her form. And so she was giving me those emotions and understanding that she went through. And she said, standing in that love frequency is very powerful beyond your expectations. And I said, okay, I totally get it. And it's not like the non-physical team hasn't always said, you know, be heart-centered and breathe through your heart and all that kind of stuff. But when she gave me her emotions and her surprise, when that love transformed her form, I was just so grateful. So like, if that was the only gift, whatever, like that's great enough. That's good enough for me, because I really felt her shock and surprise and delight that she was able to transform. And then
I have a gift for you. Keep talking, but I have a gift for you, but keep going.
Okay. I often, so I can connect with many beings, and everyone can connect to many beings. My favorite surprise, because when you get awakened, I'm like, what, you guys are real? I feel like that M&M commercial where they see Santa Claus and Santa Claus sees the M&Ms and they both pass out. That's what it always feels like to me, you know? And I'm driving to work before COVID, and I feel them on my head, or I will feel them. And so I'll say, who's here? And then I got an old Norse god. I'm like, an old Norse god? And then I said, can you give me a clue? And on the license plate, right next to me, a little ahead, was Thor. I went, Thor?
Of course it was.
And he said, yes. Yeah, it was just, you know, I was just like, I'm like, of course his name is spelled out on a license plate, right? So I said, hi, Thor. And so then I started talking to him and I said, hey, is your hammer real? And he's like, no. He's like, I have all the power in my hand, but my hands are as big as a hammer. And so they interpret it as a hammer. I said, okay, cool. He goes, I could use a hammer if I wanted to, but I don't need to. And I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. So I said, hey, why are you, you know, like, it's an honor that you're connecting with me, but what, like, what's up, basically, you know? And he's like, oh, I'm here to help you with your business venture. And I'm like, business venture? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I'm really here for business. He's like, most humans forgot that about my magic, but I'm here to assist on business ventures. And he's like, and I said, do you mind if I research and read? So I often find, because, and I don't keep everything I find, because it would just be, it's every day, all day kind of stuff. But I found the most obscure thing, which I'm sure was totally guided by him, on like, he was a fertility god and abundance and business. And it's been totally lost. It's so funny. And so I love when they communicate with me and then I get to validate in my physical reality.
That was fun. That is so awesome. All right. So 5 years ago or so, when I first met Roxanne, and I was doing channeling with the dragons, and I was started channeling some mermaids. Um, I got the mermaid tail that I think it's called like finfun.com, and you can
Yes,
get the mermaid
yes.
tail and all that's
I
so much
love it.
fun. And the first time I put it on and I got in a pool, a friend of mine was taking pictures, and it was so much fun. And
Oh
there it
my God, you
is.
look amazing.
It looks like so much fun. But I was showing this to my sister, and she goes, "Can you see what's behind your head?" And actually, it might work better if I just zoom in here. There we go. But you can see a little entity behind my head. There's an eye, there's a head.
Totally.
Yeah. And you can
Totally. A Little
yes.
Mermaid. Yeah.
Yeah. And the water distortion of my arm there is, I've worked with photography forever, so that you expect water distortion, but that distortion looks exactly like a tail. It
Oh
looks
yeah, it's not by accident.
Oh yeah. It's so much fun, and I love this picture. I love having it. And the first, when my sister was the one that pointed it out, I kind of got creeped out. I was like, oh my God, okay, this is kind of creepy. But it was so much fun to have that, and to have that whole the world of magic. Like, I love that you said you love magic, because the world of alchemy, because you're that sciency thing, um of magic and alchemy, and everything we embraced when we were little, everything we loved, everything that set us free, kept the world of rules and limitations and all this adulting away, and was a place of escapism, and was a place to just enjoy ourselves, to have the ability to step back into that as an adult, embrace it, take it even bigger, and stand by it. When everybody is like going, okay, you're playing with mermaids, okay. It's such a gift to ourselves. And one of the great things that came out of the podcast I just did with Roxanne was where, in fact, I think I have it written down here because I write everything down. It's when she said, when you detect bullshit, toxicity, solicitation to dumb yourself down to the version of what their need is, don't. Be the dragon. Don't be afraid. And that was, I say that all the time to people. I'm like, don't dumb yourself down. Be who you are in this moment, because who you are in this moment may not be, the next. And I had stopped channeling the dragons because I was feeling this pull to just really kind of be me, to say, because what happened when I channeled, it was such an obvious release of any doubt in myself. I closed my eyes and I let that version of me come forward, which I labeled dragons, or I labeled whatever. And I could feel the complete absence of resistance, of me going, second guessing myself, that whole second guessing we do of, ooh, who am I to say this stuff? Who am I to play with this? Who am I to do this? Am I screwing up? Am I messing up my life? All that gone. It's gone. And I was like, well, why can't I do that as Kristen? Why can't I? And the dragons are very much going, you are. You are. And calling it, you're labeling, channeling. Well, I want to do this as me. And so it was so amazing, because the group that I was channeling was called Iram, IRAM, Iram. And Roxy was the one that found that name. And this was about a year later. And I would always post stuff, and I would label it Kristen and Iram, or Iram and Kristen. And a friend of mine, right at the time, I was like, you know what? I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to channel anymore. I want to see what it's going to be like to do this as me, as free. And I'm still working on it. But my girlfriend was reading the post I put out that morning, which was just something about, being powerful or whatever. And nobody knew this about me. Nobody knew that I was like getting ready to let the dragons go. And she goes, I got to tell you, I saw your post this morning, and at the bottom where you label it Iram and Kristen, she goes, I saw Iram, but no R. And it said, I am Kristen. And I was just like, oh, so there was my confirmation. There was my confirmation because of course I was second guessing it, because Iram had this huge following. And I was like, God, people are going to be pissed when I say I'm not channeling Iram anymore. And that's exactly, what I created. But it was so amazing, and it was so fun. But when Roxy said don't dumb yourself down, be the dragon, it just reconfirmed something from 5 years ago, which is, I was creating a separation. I was channeling Kristen, so she was Iram. I wasn't even me. I was another entity. And then, when I'm not channeling, I'm Kristen. And it was a bringing that together to something new again. And so I love what you're saying. I love this story of how she transformed from a mermaid into a centaur. I love that story because it just confirms to me this ever constant expansion we're doing. And it can go any way we want. We can play with magic. We can play with quantum. We can play with something that is magic and quantum together and create something new. And it's so powerful. And I love what you said. So I'm going to let you go.
Well, I wanted to confirm something from you or validate something for you. You are spot on. In the higher truth, we are all one. In the higher truth, you are the dragons and you are Kristen. You are both. You are neither separated. It is the human ego of the mind where we think linear, but we are all one. So I am Athena and aspects of Athena and Isabelle, and I'm way more than Athena and Isabelle, right? We are all one entities expressing source. And so when Roxy has a way of manner of speaking of bullshit, but for me, I would say the professor in me would say, just because you cannot see infrared light or radio waves in front of your eyes right now does not mean it doesn't exist. Yeah. Just because you don't understand the math or even are aware that the math exists doesn't mean we can't use it. And so it is okay for wherever someone else is in their journey. It was beautiful that you were going through stages and phases, because when you were channeling the dragons, you were raising your vibration. But in higher truth, you are the dragons.
Yeah.
And so the human mind needs a little time to adjust to that. And you were ready. Your soul was pushing you to the next step to come forth as you, because you are a master teacher. You are here to help the awakening. It is good to be known as Kristen. Yeah. It's okay. And so just so you know, I remember a life as a dragon.
Love it.
It was awesome. I was so thrilled that my soul, which is me, downloaded it to me. It wasn't on Earth. I was a dragon. I was part of a council, and literally we were in a cave with a huge crystal in the center. And then somebody said, oh, that's like from the movie, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, huh, interesting. And then I'm like, okay. And there was creatures that looked like cows or bovines. And just like I sound, like my mouth waters when I get hungry, my stomach would gurgle and it would create a noxious gas, and I would breathe on this bovine creature and it would pass out and I would eat it. And I said, oh, I wonder if that's when they thought fire breathing breath, but it was a noxious gas. So who knows? I'm sure there's a variety of dragons out there, but that was my dragon life. And I was enormous. I was huge. It was so much fun. And I think that dragon life is still in existence, like, still there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's when we step out of the time, just when we step away from even the existence of time, then of course that is there. It's like you said,
Yeah.
the all. And I love that Roxy likes to call everything the all, whether it's the law of attraction or
Yeah.
vibration or whatever, she calls it the all. And it really does simplify. And I love that. I mean, it was there. What I get so many people that are like, oh, so you don't believe anymore. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This the like you said, the memories, the everything I experienced back in 2015, 2016, 2014, well, 2012 through 2016. I can't discount any of that. There was so much amazing experiences. And I love that you said, your soul just calling you to go forth, because that's exactly it. It's like when I was in first grade, I have the best teacher ever. I loved her. I didn't want to go forward. I didn't want to go into second grade. I didn't want to go into third grade. I want to stay here with her. She was the
Yeah.
best. And yet I did. And it was even more amazing. And I got to meet even more fantastic people and have even more favorite teachers. And I love that life is forever doing that with us. I love it. I love it. And I love that you play with science in such a playful way. It's like there's nothing serious going on here. Have fun. And you know what it's just to weave the magic within it, and to always be able to find the magic within a drop of rain. It's just so there. It's so wonderful. So this is so much fun with you. So keep going.
Yeah, so the drop of weight. So it's funny that you say that. So Saint Germain worked with me for a good 4 or 5 months, and he was relentless. Love him, but he was relentless. And he would say, and on my course, and I'll give you the link, you can try Saint Germain's exercise for free. And I show you how to do it, and then I ask you to do it, because I am your teacher that doesn't want you to get another recipe book or watch another video on how to make a food dish or go to a restaurant to eat. No, I want you in the kitchen, and I want you chopping up that carrot, because you don't know how to cook until you cook. So that's the teacher that I am.
Yay, I love that. I recently just got a job, and it's the same thing. It's like, I'll be like, hey guys, how do I do this? And somebody will step in. They're like, and I'm like, no, and I'll slap their hand away. I'm like, tell me so I can do it. I'm not going to learn unless I get in there and do it myself.
It's so funny. You really have to experience it. And for me, you learn in a multi-pronged approach, right? Sometimes you need to read the information. Sometimes you need to understand the theory. Sometimes you feel it first. And so try to be loosey-goosey on how you learn, right? Because we all learn in different ways and even on different days, right? And, but I am a very hands-on kind of person, because for me, it's like teaching you a new card game. I'm going to tell you the objective of the card game to get rid of all your cards. I'm going to tell you what cards do what, and then you're going to be overwhelmed. And then I'm going to be like, no, we're going to play an open hand game. And we're going to keep on playing an open hand game until you get the rhythm of it, until you get the feel of it. And then you will tell me when you're ready to play a game. And so that's it. So I just basically teach people how to play card games. That's all. That's what I do. So Saint Germain was teaching me, and he would say, I want you to connect with that water drop on your skin, because it had just started to rain. And so I said, okay. And then I say, okay, it's H2O. And he's like, more. And then I said, it's a dissolvent. And he's like, more. I said, it nourishes earth. And he's like, more. And then I'm like, and then I just kept on going deeper and deeper. And then the next thing I knew, I saw it going into the plant, becoming a dewdrop, floating up to the clouds, falling back to the ocean. And then he kept on pushing me. He's like, more. then I saw the light codes of it. Then I saw it in outer space. And this was connecting with one drop of rain.
Look at that.
And he was relentless saying more, because what he was doing was he was pushing me to get out of my ego mind. He was pushing me to stop the categorization of what the properties of water is. But he still allowed my mind to talk about the hydrogen and oxygen bond. He allowed the ego to say everything the ego could say about the water, and then pushed me beyond. And that's when I psychically connected with the water. And we did that. Oh my gosh, he had me hold rocks and leaves. And, wherever I went, he would like, touch this, my child. And I'd be like, he's like, connect with it. And so I would connect and yeah, so that was like 3 months every day, just that exercise. And I would always hear him. He would be like, more, 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 more. And he was really pushing me. And he's like, my child, I want you to start thinking spherically, not linear, spherically. Everything is a sphere. It's interconnected, spherical, think energetically. And then when I would go through my everyday human life as a mom and, corporate gig, he would pop right in and he's like, linear, you're not thinking energetically. And so I would practice in conference rooms and yeah. So, I mean, I've had like really awesome mentors from the other side to really get me to think energetically, get me out thinking linear. So it's cool. And then I'm surrounded by psychics now. So it's great because we hear them here, right? Like nobody else hears the radio station. Like if we had a radio station that people would be like, oh, I love that Bee Gees song. But we're hearing the Bee Gees song in our mind and they don't hear the Bee Gees song. So we're like, am I hearing the Bee Gees song? Initially, but like now I'm so beyond it. And I'm like, I wish you could hear it.
Have you heard of the headless way?
No.
Oh, you would love it. Very quantum. And you would totally dig the headless way because they talk so much about how we cannot see, we're looking out at the world. And if I was to hold my hand in front of me and okay, I can describe my hand, I see what it looks like, I can feel it, but we've never been able to do that with our own head. We can't see our head. I can look down and see my foot, but I can't see my own head. And it's like, I kind of can see my nose, but that's it. And they talk, it just goes on and on. It's like if you're sitting on a spinning stool and you're turning around, are you really turning or is the world turning around you? And, of course, it goes into all of that fun stuff.
That's cool.
Oh, I know. It's so cool. And it really talks about like, if you and I are sitting here talking together and I was to back away to where now I see your house. And then I was to back away even more to where I see your city. And you just can keep going and keep going and keep going and realizing that I'm still talking to you, but now I'm seeing more and I'm seeing more and I'm way out in space and I'm still talking to you, but now I'm seeing all of this as you. But then we do the opposite. I come in face to face with you and you and I are nose to nose and we're looking at each other's eyes. And now this is all I see of you. That's all of you. And then I get in closer and I see the cells of your eyes, but that's you. And then I get in closer, I see the molecules of the cells of your eyes. And then I get in and I see the atoms of this, and then the subatomic, and you keep going closer and closer. And then you get into the energy. All I see is the energy, but it's huge and it's expansive and it's you. And now I'm kind of like back in space, but I'm inside you. Yeah. So it is the most fun, blow your mind away teachings. It's just another fun teachings. And the Tao religion gets very much into it as well. But it's a blast. And I love when you said that, because I was like going, oh, there's the headless way. And there's so many fun avenues to go play in, to just go play. And I love that Saint Germain. Oh God, I'm just like going, I want to go play with that water drop now. But I want you to, if you can you explain a little bit what you meant by spherical?
Yeah, so spherical thinking is, if you notice that a lot of matter is formed in spheres and the spiral growth. And it's not by accident that the shape is spherical.
Yeah.
And I thought, so when they were talking to me, the non-physical team was talking to me about it. I went, that is interesting that everything is bubbles. And isn't that interesting that even the tree of life, the sacred geometry is circles, right? And so the symbolism, so working with the non-physical team, I'm sure you've experienced this, it's many layers. It's just many layers. Just a ton of layers. And even electron protons are in a spherical pattern. So it repeats everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's crazy cool. And it just reminds us that everything is eternal. There's no beginning, no end. And so if I'm starting to think energetically in spherical, because I'm a very visual learner, so I love when my team shows me, not only talks to me with the words, but shows me images, because me personally, that's how I gravitate to learning. I really think, a picture is 1,000 words, right? So when they show me, I'm like it clicks much more than, because I'll say to them, I say, sometimes we're just a lot of blah, blah, blah. And the knowings, I love the knowings. So if you think spherical, if you start thinking no beginning, no end, everything is contained, we're in the field. So in this Zoom call, I'm in a square. Well, let's pretend that this is all that is source. I'm in the square. I feel like I'm separate from the square, but I'm in the field. Everything's within. So that exercise of the headless way is a perfect example to visually see it and feel it, because there is no separation. You're still in the field. Whether you can see yourself or not, you're in the field. Everything is within. And the non-physical team says it all the time, right? Or Taoism, or all those spiritual teachers, go within. And I'm like, the heart's the portal, the heart's the portal. Now I understand it even deeper. Before, when they're like, the heart is a portal. And I'm like, really? It's an energetic portal? And then sure enough, I studied heart math. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you do. Okay, great. Yeah. So, I studied the whole science. I read white papers. I'm a mad researcher. So when I understood it was an energetic field and a superconductor finally, and a superconductor gets things really, really cold so that we can see it, because it moves so fast we can't see. Yeah. And James Zimmerman, which is my last name, Zimmerman, even though I'm married into it, I'm like, James Zimmerman, who's this guy? And James Zimmerman was the one who first created the superconductor in the 1970s, and he worked for the Ford company, the car company. But that's because if you have money for research. So anyways, he created this first superconductor, and sure enough, it shows the torus, which Isis showed me the torus first, the energetic field. And then I said, what's that, Isis? And then I found it in science. So I love when I learn something that it validates that I'm not crazy.
Yeah,
basically.
I know. We need this regularly.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for everyone else to catch up. So I studied the torus, and she wanted me to study the torus, and then I studied cymatics, and they've really led me scientifically along the non-physical team. So when you understand everything is an energetic pattern, and that we're in the field, and that the most common shape is spheres, because there's no beginning, no end, and it's also a reflective pattern. It's the mirror. I'm like, oh my God. Like, you know, I get greater understanding more and more and more. I'm like, because there's probably so much to uncover. There's just so much.
Yeah.
There's so much. I'm like, but you know, like when I first heard the law of reflection, they're like, everyone is reflection of you. And I'm like, really? Because they don't look like me. Like, what's up with that? Right. And then I'm like, oh, right. And then, you know, so I remember I was at work and you know how you go on YouTube, like they have recommended videos? Well, Dolores Cannon kept on coming up. And I'm like, oh, she's cute, whatever. And I see she does past lives and blah, blah, blah. Couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. Then I'm talking to my friend Jenny, who's a soul sister, and she's like, oh, I want to become a QHHT therapist. And I said, great. What's that? She's like, oh, it's Dolores Cannon's technique and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, good for you. Then I got like chills, right? And they said, I want you to go right now to a Facebook page for Dolores Cannon. I said, really, right now? Because I'm writing a really complicated email. And they're like, no, Isabelle, right now. All right. So I go and they're doing a Facebook Live. And she has people on stage. Well, I didn't realize Dolores had passed. It was her daughter, Julia. She had people on stage that were basically channeling, but they were under. So then I said, oh, that's interesting. And then I said, wait a second. Do you want me to become a therapist? They said, yes. And I went, how much is this going to cost? And how long is this going to take? Like the typical human, like, you know, I had to go to Vancouver. I had like, you know, it's always with them, right? Oh, cross some fear. Great. So I became a therapist, and the past lives are interesting. But for me, what's more exciting is that it opens up that psychic door. It really helps. I don't know why not all humans don't get a session. I honest to God, I really don't know why. I don't think it's the only modality. I really don't. I certainly don't want to put everyone under. My God, no. It's like so time consuming. You know, one session is 3 to 4 hours long, you know, but there's meditating. Again, why not all humans meditate? I have no idea. Connecting with nature, right? Another basic one. It's free, right? But they are where they are. And I, you know, often I talk to my friends and stuff, and I always say, play. Did you play today? Were you creative today? Now, I don't care about the meditating. I don't care about connecting with nature. What did you do to play? And they're like, play. I said, yeah, I want you, God damn it, to play.
Yeah.
Because that's a very high frequency. And if you are raising your vibration, you get to get access to many things. So yes, I want you to play. Of course. And it's interesting how we just discount that. Yeah. But playing is very important. So I love the fact that you played and you put on that mermaid tail. You're very playful.
Oh, very playful. I'm outside all the time. But, you know, I also find that, you know, I see people who are just work, go home, work, go home.
Yes.
And, but, you know, when I'm hanging out with them, I'll find it's, and this is, for now, this is their meditation. This is their play. That, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And, you know, whatever distractions or that cigarette or that, you know, shot of whatever, it is their meditation. It is their play. It is their place to just unwind for a minute. And I recently started working in the retail business, And I get people who are like, I'd like to buy some cigarette. And they always like crestfallen when they say they want me, can I buy some cigarettes? They always look like they're so ashamed. And, I'm so sorry, but yeah, I'm going to need some cigarettes. And it's like, does this make you happy? Yeah. Okay. That's all you need. That's all.
Yes,
If
I
this
agree.
if this makes you
Spirit
happy.
has, exactly. I just want to let you know, drugs, I have friends who smoke pot, cigarettes, drink, whatever. And I just want to just put that out there for everyone. Somebody, Spirit, he went under and he wanted to quit smoking. So I asked his inner being, should he quit smoking? Can
Yeah.
you help him? You know what his inner being said? Nope. I want him to smoke. It keeps him grounded. It keeps him here on earth.
Yeah. Keeps them happy, keeps them joyful, keeps them,
Yep.
and again, it's Roxy and I were talking about this, however it looks. My version of joy and your version of joy are going to look vastly different, but it's still joy. It's still joy. It's going to vibrate vastly different, but it's still joy.
Yes.
And it's not that my version's better than yours or vice versa. It's really, it's that reflection thing. I love that it's you brought up the reflection, especially the spherical reflection. It's seeing every version that I ever was that I can remember, and then all these versions that I don't remember, and just going, oh, there's another version of joy that I didn't know existed. Wow, that's fun to look at. And just to play. Life is a huge sandbox.
Whatever it is. Right, exactly. And when Yeshua said to me, Isabelle, if I was physically incarnated, the first thing I would eat is Doritos. And I said, shut the front door. Doritos? And he's like, yeah. When you humans take a bite of Doritos, your vibration goes way high. Doesn't do that for celery. I just started laughing, and it was such a great example for me to know I know they say this all the time, but I'm working on it. There is no wrong. Yeah. There is no wrong, guys.
Yep.
I do believe in moderation, but your body will tell you if you're drinking too much, smoking too much, eating too much, exercising too much. It doesn't matter. Your body will be the messenger. So have at it, have fun, let the shame go, just play. And if it's smoking a cigarette, listen, I smoke cigarettes occasionally and I have the best conversations over a cigarette.
Yes.
It is the gateway to being vulnerable for humans. And I'm just so happy I can do it.
Yes.
Because other people can't stand cigarettes. They hate it.
Yes.
And I get the best conversations over a cigarette, way more so than a beer and wine. It's weird. It's weird. I asked Isis around it. I said, Isis, what's up with this tobacco thing? She's like, why do you think the Indians smoked it? Huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is something mystical and magical about it, breathing fire. Interesting. Yeah. So it makes me look at everything differently and more open and loving.
Yes. Yes, more loving. Just more loving, because
loving.
Yeah, we cannot criticize something and not take that criticism in and feel it and feel that ickiness, because the only person who's feeling it is you. You're the one, the only person who's feeling what you're feeling is you. Yes. And so, and I have friends who are married or whatever, and they'll smoke, but they connect over the smoking. They'll go step into the backyard or whatever, and that's where they're connecting and talking about their day, and there's a connection. And it's just and they're not connecting in any other way, but they're connecting through the smoking, or they're connecting through whatever other means. And it's just oh, can't you see the purity in that? Can't you see the blessing in this?
Exactly. I have a lot of friends who smoke marijuana. I personally don't smoke marijuana, but it doesn't matter to me, because it's that is their joy. Who cares?
Yes.
you know, and if that bypasses your ego so you can connect to spirit, great. And even if you don't connect to spirit, if you just relax,
Yes.
great. Because
Yes.
the dealing with the psychic energy is a delicate energy. It's very subtle. It's not like a forceful physical matter touch. It's delicate. And so, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'm so glad that we're bringing this up. So, you know, maybe somebody will hear this and just not beat themselves up so much. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that, you said that it's a very delicate energy because, when I was messing around with the ascension and all that back in 2015, there was a big thing about the density of the 3D versus the lightness of the 5D, and it really, you can palpably feel the heaviness of the energy with, the criticisms and all of that, and it's not right or wrong or good or bad. It is what it is, and it's you, and it's an energy form you're playing with, and you're sitting in that sandbox having fun, and you can get out at any time. But I love that you brought that up, because it's just like, yes, there is other forms. Like when you sleep, just as you're about to fall asleep, you step into that lightness. There's all of a sudden all that heaviness that's been weighing you down suddenly gone. And you just have that moment of just pure lightness. And it is wonderful to connect into. It's like this infinite possibility of everything within it. And I
There
love
is.
that.
That
Yes.
is. And this is why they're all over. I don't know. I'm sure they're all over you too. Present moment, present moment. So I would say to them, I would say, what is up with this present moment stuff? The now, everything's now, now, now. And so it has taken me a great understanding and really different aspects to understand it. But I would say it is where all potentiality lies. So when I go ahead, because I don't tend to go back, to be honest with you, but I tend to go ahead, and and but that's because I was afraid of uncertainty, and I was learning to trust the universe and my soul. So it's like always a multi-prong approach, right? And then you can see the sphere of the multi-prong approach, right? I'm like, oh, spherical. Okay. But so it is. So if you can just try to be more present and think of the now moment, and when you go ahead or you go back, just say, it's okay, but I'm going to try to focus on now.
Yeah.
It's okay. And that's my self-talk. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Everything is okay. Nothing is wrong. Shocking, I know, but nothing is wrong. That is a paradigm. That is literally, and so, working with aliens, we talk about perspectives more so in emotions, and how they're working with me right now to feel my way across the room, to connect with things energetically across the room, to feel sensations in my body without labeling it. So we're practicing like new kind of ways. And I'm like, just again, it's just like Saint Germain, allowing the ego mind to quantify it and define it. And you just allow it to flow. And then just be in the sensation, be in feeling your space. And so that's what we're practicing, because I think that's when you activate your Merkaba body, that's how you time travel. And I'm like, okay. So it's so funny how I get like a piece like 3 years ago that connects to a piece now.
Yes.
And it's like different layers of understanding. And so there's so much more. It's so cool.
It really is. It's so much fun. I love everything. When I back in 2015, and I shut down my business so that I could play more in the metaphysical and more there. And then I felt the pull away from it. but I moved away from the conventional get a 9 to 5 job, da, 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 and I moved up into the mountains, and I just spent 4 years up in the mountains, just playing, just hiking, just really exploring who I am, and just and then I came back. I came back here, and I got a typical 9 to 5 job, but oh my God, I'm having so much fun that I didn't think was possible. I am, it's just like, oh, why would I want to do that? But I'm like, this is so much fun. I get to see people all day long. I'm a checker in a store, a grocery store.
Yeah.
And they're brand new people. Every in breath and out breath, comes a new person with their groceries and stuff. And I just, hi, how are you doing? And just interacting with these reflections of myself, but from a new space, and allowing in all those things I was pushing away. Ooh, negative energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, as if there is such a thing. And allowing it to be too,
Huge.
being in the space of whatever, or being in the space of, yeah, that was negative. But instead of pulling away from negativity and the 3D reality, stepping forward, leaning into it like this, leaning in like I
Yeah.
would a
Yeah.
child that has a question and going, okay, tell me, and
Yeah.
breathing it in, breathing it all in. Somebody
Awesome.
comes up and says, this store doesn't have this, and I'm angry,
Yeah.
and just breathing that in, just breathing it in, and not being afraid, and not stepping into the old belief system of there was something wrong with that. There's something scary in that. There's a scary energy that will create more of that scariness. And it's so wonderful. And I love that you use the image of the sphere, because it is all contained. It's all in here, coexisting together in such a beautiful space that I can call joy. I can at any time look at somebody in the deepest depression and say, that's joy. That's joy for them. For
Yes.
them, that's joy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've been there. I've been there where I was in the deepest of depression, and yet it felt joyful because I know
Yes.
there was a place deeper than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And oh my God, this was so good.
Like fantastic, because part of the ascension, the Golden Lake, I highly recommend you to read it if you haven't already. Golden Lake really talks about the ascension of other planets. And it came into my reality sort of like Dolores Cannon a couple of times. And I'm like, do you guys want me to get this book? And then they're like, yes. So I'm like, all right. And so I have, and it's great because it talks about the ascension on other planets, Lyrian, the Vegas, the Zetas. And you have to integrate the contrast, the dark, the shadow. When we try to separate it and push it, it just causes more duality and separation. And so I loved when Orion, the Sirians, the Pleiadians, the Vega, the Zetas, and they go through their journey, and they all have to learn to embrace the darkness. So the Pleiadians are very positive and they're very enthusiastic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so me, because I didn't want to know about the dark. Like I knew it existed, but it existed over there. And they ended up getting an autoimmune disease in their planet. And they went to their shamans, and the shaman said, for thousands of years, we've repressed our darkness. And this is why we have the autoimmune disease. So they had to embrace the dark. So once I understood that embracing the dark was critical for ascension and all planets had to do it, I had no resistance around it as much. Even though it felt painful to deal with the dark, I had not as much resistance. So I talked to Source about it. So here's one of the exercises they gave me, and you can do it right now. So look in your room, and I want you to imagine you have a black marker and you're outlining. I'm going to outline in my imagination eye, my third eye, I'm going to outline this glass in black marker. So go ahead, pick an object.
Okay.
Close your eyes in your third eye, do it. And then I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
You have your object, you drew a marker around it,
Yes.
highlighted it. I mean, like eyeliner, you went over it. Okay, great. Now, what do you feel about that object? What is the feeling that comes up for you?
Curiosity.
Okay, what else?
Boredom.
What else?
Intrigue.
What else?
It's getting bigger. The object in my mind is getting bigger.
Good. Keep the black around it though.
Okay. Contained. I feel contained. I feel tightened. I feel, I want to be more expansive. I don't want to be so framed in. I don't know what emotion would be with that.
That's all right. Great. Great. Keep on going. I'm just going to push you just a little bit more. Sorry.
Okay. No. This is fun. I like this.
Keep that image with the black around it.
Yeah. Boredom comes back up again.
Good.
The need for more. Just want more. I want more.
Right.
I want more.
Right. So very good. So they said that's good. Okay. So freedom is big for you.
Yes. Oh, that's my bottom line. That's my base.
Freedom. And that black felt like it was a container for you. Yeah. I actually found peace and security. In mine. But it's okay. Because it doesn't matter because there is no wrong, right? But it's an insight on the exercise. So that container gave birth you to the desire for expansion. So without that black line, could you have expansion? So the fear is your expansion. So your fear is wanted. The darkness is wanted. So you would never want to erase that black line that you put around your object. You want that contrast in that fear so that you can expand.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
And so incorporating the darkness and accepting it is very crucial for our ascension.
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad when you knew there was no negative energy. It's just static. It's just static energy. That's just not in balance with harmony, you know?
Yeah.
But it's beautiful because without it, it wouldn't create desires in me.
Yeah.
So source, so I talked to source a lot. And so I said, source, so the portal on December 21st is awakening a huge wave of humanity. So you'll be very busy and you will not be at that job for long, by the way. But they wanted you to be in that job to fine tune you, by the way. That's what they're telling me, to fine tune you. There was things that you needed to release. Yeah. And so you're releasing. But humanity is awakening. And you know we're light workers. So integrating the fear is wonderful. And I think that is where the teachers of like us are going. People are going to find our channeling from a few years ago. They weren't a match to it, but the new ones awakening will find it. And so you can see that we're always in phases and stages. And so we're moving along, but we're always ahead of the masses because just like any science fiction movie, there's the crew that wakes up before the crew. There's always the crew that wakes up before the crew. We're the crew. And it's okay because we're preparing, right? So integrating. So when I asked Source, so the portal of December 24th, Source said, Isabelle, contrasting energies. So I'll call it contrasting instead of fear, because fear and love is still kind of in that duality. It's okay. It's all one. Who cares? But anyways, the contrasting energy was sent in with the high energy. So a denser energy and a higher energy was sent in December 21st. So the unawakened people, I would say, I call them muggles affectionately. The muggles may feel very anxious, stressed out. They might go into conspiratorial, I can't say that word, but theories that are, humanity.
Conspiracy theories. Yeah.
Thank you. Or QAnon or whatever, it doesn't matter what they're exploring, but they're feeling this inner pressure, and it's literally to push them through the ascension. And so most of humanity does not know we're pregnant, let alone giving birth. And, or my other favorite analogy is we're in a huge kitchen remodel. So they're going to freak out when their coffee maker moves.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Oh, this was so much fun, Isabelle. I want to do this again with you.
Yes. Reach out anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a blast. Thank you. And I had something, but it went away. That's all right. This is why
That's all right. I'll send you that new planet, the asteroid. I'll send you the NASA pictures.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
send you my psychic course if you want to try this Saint Germain exercise. And that's it. I'll send you all the links and
fun.
And really, just call me anytime. Seriously. I'm so happy for you. Gosh, you get it. You really get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in the very next instance, there's a whole bunch more to get. And I know that.
It's never ending, but thank God. But yeah, no, seriously, reach out to me anytime, because we are in the advanced arena. And sometimes I'm like, what? I'm like, can you go in and see what they're telling you on the other side?
Well, you were wonderful. And I'm so glad that, you're out there to help people and help them just to be okay with who they are and where they are. And,
yes.
Yeah. And to keep that energy of play alive. Just
yes.
is so important. Just play however it looks for you, and let it be in your life, and gravitate there as much as you can. And I love that. I love that you do that. And
same with you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, darling. Thank you. And till next time. This was wonderful.
Same.
Mwah. Bye. Bye.